Good morning. How you guys doing? I called you guys here because I feel that this is going to be a great week and we got to get the agenda straightened out so that each and every one of you know what your responsibilities are. First things first, work. We got a big presentation this week and I think Mr. Intelligent, Mr. Perfectionist, you guys got that taken care of, right?
Well, we're a little behind schedule, but that's because Mr. Perfectionist over here has to dwell on every little detail.
You're always coming up with these last-minute ideas, leaving it to me to figure out how to implement them. You're trying to always be the smartest man in the
That's
world.
not starting off great, guys. Stop arguing, figure out how to work together, and get it done. Space Cadet,
Me?
I'm going to need you to take the day off with this presentation. I don't need you, doing your thing when we're trying to answer some questions.
It's not always my fault. Mr. Intellect over here always gives me ideas to
You're
ponder
the
over.
reason why people think that we're not as smart as we are. Because you're
What
always
about
pondering.
you?
No
You're always
action.
coming up with these ideas, leaving it for somebody else to figure out how to implement.
Seriously, guys, stop arguing, work together. That's the only way this is going to work. Life of the party, I'm going to need you at the presentation as well. You know, just in case Space Cadet decides to do his thing, all right? Tell a few jokes, but keep it professional.
Got it. No jokes about the boss's hairstyle or the fact that Jim talks like Patrick from SpongeBob. Can I make a few jokes about Space Cadet here?
No!
All right.
All right, next thing on the agenda is baseball. We got a few games coming up this week, and Space Cadet, again, you need to stay home. Last week, you zoned out while I was trying to coach third base. You cost the kids the game.
What do you want me to do? You're always telling the kids to always think of the next play. That's what I'm doing.
You were thinking of the next play? No, you weren't. You were thinking about how the word priceless doesn't make any sense.
Can you blame me? The suffix less means without. So priceless means without price, means it's free. I mean, why do we think it's so expensive?
Again. Life of the party, you need to watch out for Space Cadet here, okay? Just in case he makes an appearance at the baseball.
Okay. I don't perform miracles here, but I'll do my best.
All right, next on the agenda.
I got a question. Why don't you call us by our names? Why use nicknames?
You really need to ask that question? Everybody here is technically me. It would be really confusing if I called all of you by my... You know what? Never mind. Everybody do what you want to do. My week is shot.
What's his problem?
He's the one that created us.
I know, right?
I have no idea what I'm going to do with these guys. Good Lord. Yeah, that didn't go as planned. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're new here, my name is Steve, and I talk about my experience with ADHD. And the inspiration for this video comes from an article I read over the last week titled, "It's Exhausting Pretending to Be Normal." It's by Linda Roggli. She's an ADHD coach who has ADHD, and if I'm not mistaken, I think she does a lot for women who have ADHD, because I think women are statistically overlooked when it comes to ADHD. So she's doing some good in the world. I'll link the article below, because let's just face it, she'll probably explain it a lot better than I can. But she's talking about the most common masks, disguises, personas that we tend to wear in certain situations. I just realized I really don't like the term masks. I use the term personas. I don't know if it's because it's fun to say or what. I don't know. Do you guys like the word mask? I don't. Anyway, the Space Cadet is always seen as the airhead, the daydreamer, the Space Cadet. It's in the name. They're always perceived as not being as intelligent as they actually are, because sometimes the information that is processed in their head a little slower than everybody else, or they zone out a lot, obviously. And because of that, they try so hard to prove everybody wrong. But then after a while, if I can't beat them, join them. If you're going to think I'm the Space Cadet, I'm the Space Cadet. If you're going to think I'm that kid who goes off to a fictitious planet called Zorion to feed my people, make sure my people have food and water, that's who I'm going to be. For those of you that don't know, my family had a running joke about me going off to a fictitious planet called Zorion to feed my people and take care of the people there, because I was the president of the fictitious planet. Wasn't that funny. As a child, no matter if you have ADHD or not, especially an undiagnosed ADHD child, your identity is what people perceive of you. So if you're a good athlete and that's what people are telling you, that's your identity, because as a child, you don't have the life experience to figure out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what your identity is. So your identity is how everybody else perceives you. So that's the reason why I think this mask was actually more put on me than me actually creating it. Let's talk about life of the party. In my case, Space Cadet is the one who created life of the party because he really hated people laughing at him. So he wanted to create somebody to laugh with him rather than at him. So life of the party was born. I was considered the class clown for most of my childhood. And I think a lot of that is because I hated being laughed at. And most of the time, I'm going to say the joke first. And usually that joke is going to be about myself. Mainly because that way nobody else could put me down worse than I can, right? I wanted to be the center of the attention, but not me personally. The joke, the humor, that's what I wanted to be the center of attention. Because if that was what people were concentrating on, they're not concentrating on my other flaws. Let's talk about my two serious ones. The ones that I kind of don't like. Perfectionist and Mr. Intellect. We'll start with the perfectionist. I actually did a video on perfectionism, front end and back end, and how it relates to ADHD. I'll link it up here and down below. What the perfectionist really does is tries to be perceived as doing everything perfect. There is no room for error. And that's so that nobody realizes that the rest of my life is messed up. Mr. Intellect. Now, he's a character. As a matter of fact, I actually don't like Mr. Intellect. My wife doesn't like him either. But Mr. Intellect has to be the smartest person in the room. They are always using a lot of energy to stay 2 steps ahead so that nobody realizes that they're actually 4 steps behind in the rest of their life. And they're always the one that has to come up with the innovative and brilliant ideas. It comes off a little arrogant and controlling, to be perfectly honest. And so I don't like him. He's actually a persona that chooses me more than I choose him. It's usually after the situation when I realize Mr. Intellect showed up. You know, I kind of feel like the Hulk sometimes. The superhero really gets a boost of self-esteem when they help people out. So they're always willing to jump in and help somebody out, especially in a crisis. It feels good to help people out. But I think the superhero is more of trying to be liked and accepted because I've never felt like I've fit in anywhere. My family, my friends, coworkers, nowhere. And so a lot of times I become the superhero if you're in a crisis so that hopefully you'll like me because I'm helping you out. And you didn't even ask for help. And I don't ask for anything in return. So I'm hoping that you see that and you'll end up liking me and we could become friends, you know? And the last two on my list is the rebel and the hothead. See, they kind of go hand in hand. It's almost like they're brother and sister or siblings. And I also think that the hothead in my case created the rebel. See, the hothead is more about people don't understand me. I'm always misunderstood. It's almost like the world is against me. As a matter of fact, I use that phrase on purpose because that's what I heard a lot. You're acting like the world's against you. You're looking for an argument. And it's almost like that's because you won't take the time to understand me. And then the rebel is born. See, the rebel feels bad for the hothead. And so now the rebel is going to come out and say, you know what? We're going to do our own thing and we don't care what people think about it. This is me and I don't care if you like it or not. My brothers and I, we usually play baseball, basketball, and I think my brothers play football a little bit. And I know we played golf a little bit. So those were like the main sports of our family. And once the rebel started coming out of me, I was like, you know what? I don't want to play those sports. I want to skateboard. It kind of proved the hothead's point because nobody took the time to understand why I like skateboarding or even come out to see if I was any good at skateboarding. They just made jokes and laughed about it. Or bare minimum said, well, it's weird that you skateboard. That's just basically proving the fact that you don't want to take the time to understand me. So those are my personas that I tend to relate to, and my top 4 are the ones that you guys met. The other ones, they come out every now and then, but not as often as the other 4. Let me know what your personas are. Let me know what your go-to personas are. Let me know what masks tend to get you in trouble. You know, there's a couple of masks that tend to do more harm than good, so I try not to go to them. You know, Mr. Intellect's one of them. Little jerk. Let me know. I want to know all your experiences. How'd you create your masks? I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, hit the like button. It definitely helps me out, and I will see you next time.